Good morning. My name is KimNahkBohk Kim, and this is my best friend, Paul Prison. We both teach English at Korea Nazarene University, located in Cheonan. Thank you for coming to this workshop. I hope this will be a meaningful workshop despite the coronavirus 19, where we can learn from each other. Okay, here's a table of contents. Okay, look at current English conversation classes. Can you tell the difference between fluency and accuracy exactly? When we have a good fluency, it means that we can produce and engage with the language in a smooth and effortless way. Sure, we may make a lot of mistakes, but we are able to communicate our ideas. Fluency is mostly associated with the speaking, but of course we use it when we write as well. We text our friends, write informal or formal emails, or chat online using our fluency skills. Accuracy, on the other hand, is often what we think about when we are learning a language. Accuracy is about using correct grammar in speaking and writing. It is about understanding the deeper meaning and the usage of a vocabulary, and also involves the correct pronunciation of words. In a nutshell, both accuracy and fluency are important in the conversation context, and we should not be satisfied for the other. What about the communication? Woodrow in 2006 claims the ability to communicate in public is regarded as a highly desirable skill, whether to further our career or merely for personal use. In regard to language communication, language learners regard anxiety as one of the most significant social affective factors influencing foreign language acquisition. In an EFL setting like Korea, native English speakers being involved in English education have been greatly helpful in terms of improving students' communication. Thus, the purpose of this study was to investigate students' perceptions about anxiety and motivation and their English ability, and how they perform when they are obligated to go beyond their English comfort zone. So you might be wondering what's the purpose of this study. Here are the research questions for this study. Firstly, what is the overall attitude of students regarding the time they are spending in non-major courses like English conversation? Secondly, what are students' attitudes about the overall content of their classes and their motivation to improve? Okay, let's move on to the background. All right, the first one, the conversation anxiety in foreign language learning. First of all, what is a conversation? Conversation is an integral part of personal interactions between two or more people about something of interest or concern. Keeping a conversation going is something of an art, and one in which many students now seems to lack or are unwilling to show in front of other students. Meanwhile, in a college setting, although students are worried about having conversations in English because they are concerned they will not be able to keep a conversation going. Students are eager to improve their conversation and communication skills. According to Anthony in 2004, when it comes to public speaking anxiety, PSA, it is a perfectly normal and situation-specific social anxiety that arises from real or anticipated enactment of an oral presentation. Okay. What about the root of PSA? Okay, as a result, so who here is afraid of public speaking? almost all feel nervous when speaking in public. James claims that the root of PSA is the lack of positive public speaking, feeling different from members of the audience, and uneasiness about being the center of attention. There is an off-cited but probably apocryphal study claiming that public speaking is the world's most common phobia, more fearsome to people than any other source of anxiety, such as the fear of heights, spiders, the dark, or even death itself. Students have a comparatively high level of communication apprehension. The studies also revealed that students prefer group discussion as a way of reducing their communicative anxiety, depending on my studies. Okay. Okay. What about motivation and anxiety? If I were to guess what my English conversation students are lacking, it's in motivation. If I could choose one thing my English conversation students have too much of, its anxiety. Anxiety and motivation naturally go hand in hand together. These two can lead to the critical success or detrimental failure of a student's foreign language acquisition. Motivation is the reasons one has to for acting or behaving in a particular way. So in a text of English conversation, motivation can be broad construct that consists of various components. Many scholars have reported oral performance is associated with language anxiety. When giving speeches in class, interacting with a native speaker, or being corrected while speaking. Okay, the last one, for moving and expanding the comfort zone, students entering new situations often cling to their comfort zone while being pushed out or encouraged to expand. This anxiety creates the stay in the comfort zone mentality, resulting in the motivation to participate. According to Lee and Johnston Wilders in 2018, the comfort zone model has a ring of fear or anxiety on the outer edge, while others have a more progressive model with learning as the end goal. After years of studying English, students are ill prepared to break the boundaries of their inner social circle. Lee and Johnston Wilder suggest starting with to discover the base belief system before before expecting change. Students need to feel safe to explore relationships outside of their original system of beliefs, right? Okay. Here are the references for this study. From here, Paul is starting the rest of the study. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim, for opening our presentation. The methods that we used were Google Form, interviews, and in-class observations. There were 46 students overall, and the interviews were given to select students whose schedules did not fit other required classwork. In our university, conversation students should use 1 or 2 hours every semester in an English free-talking environment. Though the sample is small, the literature suggests motivation comes from a reason to join and resilience from breaking the fear factor in earlier years. In the roots of anxiety, mothers was the primary, because right from the beginning they see school as just subject learning and not life learning. Children should be free before class starts and after you put them in private school to accelerate their learning. Teachers see education as a secure job and don't always want to move forward in learning. Schools are in it for the money, and that's not true for all schools, but because budgets are tight, everything is about money, and education change requires maybe a bigger budget. Nurturing anxiety is the comfort zone. We nurture the comfort zone. And so we should expand the comfort zone as a goal to help students move forward in their learning curve. Mothers keep their children safe and in control. Teachers resist change. Schools repeat the same format, not investing in new ideas, new books, or new training. Nurturing anxiety is the fear zone, which in our model is directly outside the comfort zone. You step out of the comfort zone, and what happens? You make excuses. Excuses for everything, accepted by mothers, teachers, and peers. Always excuses. You're not moving forward through that fear zone. And other opinions. Other opinions means I don't have to be responsible for mine because I'm just following other people. And leadership is what we should be working on. In the learning zone, we have the skill acquisition. In acquiring skills, you extend the comfort zone. In extending the comfort zone means that you have to face challenges. Facing challenges means maybe you will not achieve the goals that you set out. But you will learn to solve problems. If you're not achieving your set goals, you need to try and find a solution. And that's where we should be as teachers. In the growth zone is all about purpose. Many students come to university and they're not sure of their purpose. Their parents tell them this is your purpose, and maybe they don't feel the same way as their parents. So what happens? To find their purpose, live their dreams, they set new goals. If you're leaving the comfort zone, now you're setting individual goals, not always your parents' goals. You're setting new goals. Maybe you're lowering expectations. Because if your expectation is really high, I always say, don't change the goal. Change the path to the goal. And so setting new goals is maybe setting new paths. Conquer objectives. Problem solving, conquering objectives, reaching goals, and moving higher. Expansion of the comfort zone. Resilience is probably one of the biggest factors because students go in the same social group from elementary, middle school, high school. Often it doesn't change a lot. They like to hang out with the same social group. They come to university and it becomes a real stretch to join new groups. You need that resilience built so that these transitions can happen with ease. Resilience requires failure. Not failure as in bankruptcy or failure F, but rather goals that are not achieved. And so when you set goals, you don't change the goal, like I said, you change the path. But it requires that you fail to achieve so you can reset your goals or modify your path. Resilience requires time. Time to rethink. Time to sit back and plan. Time to learn more about why did you not achieve your goal. And so it's an emotional attitude idea. Resilience requires expansion of the comfort zone. That is so true. Expanding the comfort zone requires sometimes unachieved goals, requires time to reset and do things. So you're not changing the goal, you're changing the timeline, maybe you're changing the path, but you're expanding the comfort zone to include some of these unachieved goals while you're learning and acquiring new skills. Acquiring skills is maybe more important, and that acquiring builds resilience as well. Parenting was the key. parenting, when you see it as a skill builder and not just academic, you will enable children to expand their comfort zone. You will expand their resilience. You will enable skill acquisition. All of that comes from parenting from the beginning. In the early years, it is the parent's comfort zone, and that's where we find in our material that autonomy is very important. If a parent takes responsibility, then the child never builds strength, resilience. If they fail, they just go back to the comfort zone. We don't want children going back to the comfort zone. We want children to move out of the comfort zone or expand their comfort zone. Not even leaving the comfort zone, but expanding it. University, students make decisions as individuals. Move students to skill acquisition, but also socially and a lot of times independently where they weren't independent before. This is our model, the comfort zone. It's different than the model that you saw earlier under this Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim's model, the anxiety is on the outside and it shuts down motivation. This one goes from comfort zone to the growth zone, and it shows exactly where your students are, and you can tell where you can help the most. The groupie think, find excuses, always do what others do. Never do things by yourself. Never make your own path. That's kind of the fear. That's that insecurity, and we want to build security. The critical thinking. The comfort zone is when it gets to this point. This is an expansion, not just this is where you are. This is expanding your comfort zone. You're comfortable facing challenges. You can solve problems. You can learn new skills as part of that extension of the comfort zone. And then expanding it to where you're not only comfortable, but you're motivated to grow. You conquer your objectives, you have a set purpose, and all your goals are towards that purpose. And then the next is living your dreams. When you get through the growth, you're comfortable growing, you're comfortable challenging, you're comfortable not achieving goals, and you can plan and make new paths to achieve those goals. Joining, as mentioned, is Dornier's model of the self. Motivation to acquire language, or English in this case, is the reason to join. If there's no reason to join your class, then there's maybe low motivation in your classroom. We need to give students a reason to join. At my university, it's a mandatory course, so they have to take it, and they're not wanting to join, they just have to join. So we have to make it a purpose to join. Help them find that purpose. Learning for the purpose of engaging foreigners, which is what a lot of students said, but at what level do they want to engage? Just meeting and greeting, or sitting down and having a conversation? Learning a language to emigrate is even a higher level and requires a lot more English study. But the motivation will be there, and the anxiety comes from the insecurity and lack of confidence. In a quick classroom poll, most of my students said that they want to join companies that had global outreach or global offices. And that requires, if I want to join this kind of company, I need English to move up or to enter. And so that gives the motivation already. Self-determination. Remember, resilience and self-determination, they come together. Providing a safe environment where the child is ultimate freedom and lack responsibility. That's where we are today. And we want students to be self-determining. In the growth zone, as you saw, you have that purpose, you have self-determination, independent thinking. Now you are growing. You're not just learning, you are growing, and that's our goal. But for some, if you are not responsible and your parents do all of it, you have a higher than you attitude. I am better than you because I can do things and I don't have to be responsible. Grolick, Ryan, and DC write, findings indicated that children who perceive their mothers and fathers are more involved and as providing greater autonomy support exhibited more autonomous regulation in school. So important, that autonomous parenting, to let students make their own path, push them to be independent thinkers early in life, build that resilience so that when they come to university, that they are already in the growth comfort zone. Doing everything for children is a limiter. Again, it's easy. Teachers, parents, schools, we have to not accept mediocrity. Dependence on the parent to fill a weakness doesn't build strength. Resilience builds strength. Expecting schools to be only academic limits the creativity. And so changing how we teach and how we approach education is important. Solutions: let children feel free to live life. So important, children live a good child-like life. Enjoy life when you're young. Using the traditional environment in school of rote memorization and grammar needs to be changed because it raises anxiety and lowers motivation. Just because of the failure to rise to expected levels. So many students are insecure because they haven't achieved at the level of expectation. Teachers, maybe they want to change, but they're faulted if the child is not happy, and this doesn't build any strength in the child at all. It builds dependence, and it encourages mediocrity. The solution: educate mothers that school is a life skills course. Responsibility is on the child. Don't make excuses. There are always bad educators, always bad school systems. But we need to change to a project orientation, not just memorization of words or sentences or phrases. In my observation, in my conversations with students, communication in L1, their own language, needs to be improved. And when that improves, it is easier to learn L2. We need to encourage stronger communication skills. When dialoguing with professionals and students, the vocabulary in L1 causes anxiety in L2. So improve, widen, broaden the nature of vocabulary in L1. Teach in whole ideas. And this is a book translation problem. Books go line by line. Teach in whole ideas. So many students in my class, when they're writing, when they're speaking, they speak in simple, small, short ideas. Guzman writes that we should throw out the textbook. In his TED Talk, he threw out the textbook and students were required to read online stories and discuss it. And there was kind of a structure, and he focused on a specific topic. Using real-world stories, they vocalized opinions. The only expectation was that they created an opinion. And that's an important part. Creating an opinion, right or wrong, is okay. You can change an opinion, but if you have no opinion, then you follow others, just like we had in the fear zone. fear to have an opinion. Interject when students are not communicating correctly, because in language there are many ways to say things, and there's a better way, and then there's a good way and a best way. Reward effort, not perfection. You make an effort, you get marks for it. Don't focus on perfection. Don't accept excuses, but support to fix failure. Don't accept excuses. In the fear zone, excuses are a dime a dozen. Don't allow it. Rather, challenge students to move forward, to get out of the fear zone so they get into the learning zone. Think big for students. Students say, and many teachers I hear, even administrators say, our students can't do it. That is not a positive thing. Think big for students. Your students can do it. Give individual notes. Focus on expansion of the comfort zone to include growth, not just breaking out of the fear zone. We want students in the growth zone. Independent thinking, problem solving, challenging failure as just a step to success. Thank you for listening to our presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask or email anytime.